Welcome to the Leverage Podcast. I am excited about this episode today as we are talking about virtual events. A lot of folks, especially during COVID, went online, webinars, virtual events promoting their businesses. But how can you do that and actually be successful? Well, today's guest is going to tell us just that. Justin Lawrie, CEO and founder of Spark Event Studios. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you here today. We had a great conversation the other day, and I'm excited to share your insights and success with our audience. To start off, tell us what exactly is Spark Event Studios?
Spark Event Studios, we are a virtual event company. We help speakers, coaches, entrepreneurs, and course creators host, produce, and execute their live virtual event, which leads them to a purpose-driven payday by helping them sell their high-ticket offer through that event.
That makes a lot of sense. And so I know we talked about the difference between webinars and virtual events, right? I think during COVID, there were a lot of interesting things. Obviously, we had all the challenges with our physical businesses getting shut down, but there was a perspective of, wait a minute, I can reach so many more people for pennies on the dollar if I just go online, and everyone's going to come and everybody is going to find out about my business. But it turns out, as you're an expert in this, that's not always exactly the case.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to come down to your how you promote your event, how you plan, execute. All the things that you do for an in-person event still matter in the virtual world. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I just go on to Webinar Jam or Zoom or Big Marker and just set it up and follow the prompts and I'm good to go. And then they don't do anything. But that's not the case. There's so much more you have to do to make sure your event is going to be successful.
Yeah. So take me through, what are some of those things that you help your clients with that enable a virtual event to actually be successful and move the needle for them?
Yeah. So the first one, and probably the most important one, is we start with the event strategy. What does your event look like? We look at, number one, not doing a webinar. We look at doing what we call the 3-day model, or a 3-day virtual event. And the reason we suggest that is going to build 3 things for you, and that is know, like, and trust. And those are probably the most important things. And the only way to build know, like, and trust is time. So we start with that. We get really clear on that. We get clear on your why. Why are you doing this event? Why are you wanting to leverage a virtual audience? We get really super clear on that stuff before we even touch the tech. So many people jump to the tech first and don't worry about the foundation. And that's going to fail you so many times.
I think there are a lot of examples of this in our digital world where we feel like maybe there's a shortcut, or we feel like new technology is going to make all the difference. But it really seems like there are these core foundational principles that have always been true and were true before everything got digitized. And even with great digital technology and global reach, those things still maintain to be true. Talk me through, you mentioned, tell me them again. Know,
like, and trust.
Know, like, and trust. So dig a little deeper into those and what they are, what that means, and how a client of yours can leverage those in a positive way.
Yeah, so with know, like, and trust, we'll just take them one at a time. Know, the audience member has to physically know you. They have to know who you are or have some understanding of who you are. They can't just, see you in scrolling on a Google ad and be like, oh, I'll come to this event. If they don't know who you are or what you do, they're never going to sign up. So that's why it's really important to be leveraging things like podcasts, YouTube, going on Instagram, and being out there in social media, because that's going to start to build that know factor. The like factor kind of goes with know in that they have to like you. And I don't mean on social media. I mean, like, they have to like your message. They have to like what you stand for, what you have to offer. They have to like and be able to resonate with what you are talking about. And then the last one, and the most important one, is trust. And the only way to
Mm.
build trust is time. And especially online, it takes a lot of touch points. It takes doing it on social media, but then also that event. The event is the best way to build that trust because now you are getting to spend real time with them. You're not a recorded video. You are actually there with them. You're answering their specific questions. You are teaching it directly to them. It's not just a video they're watching back. And you're getting to know them. You're engaging with your community. And that's going to build trust because now they're seeing you do what you do best. And no webinar that I've ever been on can do that. It's just not physically possible.
Interesting. So I want to go backwards on those. I have a few
Mm-hmm.
questions and dig even a little deeper here. So
Yeah.
trust is makes a lot of sense, is directly associated with time. And this is
Mm-hmm.
why one of the reasons why you're saying, hey, don't do this 30-minute or 1 hour webinar. 3 day
Yeah.
virtual events are recommended. Is there a certain length of time? I'm sure it varies, but is there a certain length of time that can help that you're looking at, all these examples you're saying, okay, they put enough time to develop trust.
There's no magic number to how much time it's going to take. There's not. We have found the best number because remember it's a build. I don't know how many hours they spent on social media. I don't know how many hours they spent watching your videos on YouTube. I don't know that number.
Right.
I know from my experience that by the time they get to the event, they've already put in some time. Whatever that number is for them, I'm going to assume they've already put in X amount of time. I'm just filling in the next 3 days with 8 hours a day of content, you know? And I hope that by the end of those 3 days, that's enough to push them over. Now, here's the thing if they can't make a decision in 3 days, in 3 full days to boot,
Yeah.
some questions there. But I would love to say, oh, it takes 30 odd hours. I don't know that because it's all going to depend on how much time they put in beforehand.
Right. And that kind of we're going out of order backwards here, but to know, right? You're talking about
Mm-hmm.
like they have to know you. It sounds like there's a lot of prep work that you maybe work is the wrong term, but a lot of brand awareness, a lot of interaction with the audience before the virtual event, right? You're kind of like
Yeah.
warming them up. It sounds like if the first time someone's ever heard of you is this virtual event or this webinar, your odds of converting them are much lower than if you've really done your work and regularly interacted with them over time with that no point that you have there.
Yeah. The more they get to know you, the higher the chances of them converting. It's why I hate one-to-one sales calls. I don't do
Mm,
them. Unfortunately, I still do them because it's a necessary evil.
right.
But I don't really like doing one-to-one. I have a team that does my one-to-one calls, and they do work, but they don't work nearly as well for me as one-to-many.
Interesting. Now, does that vary based on what somebody's selling, or would you say that's kind of a general piece of advice?
It's a general piece of advice, yes, because in a lot of ways, one if you so let's say this, if you are you're not great at one-to-one sales. You just know personally, and I'll use myself as an example. I'm okay at one-to-one sales. I'm not great, and I'll be the first to admit that.
Hmm.
But what's unique about one-to-many sales is the things that I don't do well in one-to-one, I actually excel at in one-to-many because those
Interesting.
disadvantages in one-to-one actually become my advantage in one-to-many because I don't have to objection handle in the same way or the way I'm
Ah,
interacting with you is different.
that's true.
So it's differences of how I approach it, and it's a lot easier for me. And I speak to myself because I know it to be true. For me, I do a lot better with one to many. I can work off of your body language. I can tell instantly off of your body language how you're reacting, how you're responding. Whereas if I'm doing one to one, I can do it, but most people are just staring at their screen when it's a one to one call,
Right.
and it's really hard to tell if they're really connecting with you. In a 3 day event, I can tell because they lean in, they nod the head, they agree with you, they're understanding the concepts as you're going through. You can tell.
That makes a lot of sense. And then obviously a numbers game, right? You're going one to one.
Mm-hmm.
If that person isn't into it or doesn't get it, you're wasting your time for lack of a better term, right? But when you have a crowd, when you have many,
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken on a number of stages and you pick out those people in the crowd, right? You see who's getting it. And even if the majority of people aren't getting it, you see your advocates in the crowd.
Yeah,
And that also will energize somebody who's on that stage as well.
yeah. It's why we use, not to jump ahead or anything, but it's why we use Zoom meeting and not Zoom webinar. The
Hmm.
ability to see someone both as a host and a participant, it's a game changer. And if you are using any tool that is a one-way broadcast, you're losing a really big opportunity. I can tell you when I run events, I'm literally in my studio right now. I can see you. I'm looking
Yeah.
right at you. So that makes a big difference when I can physically see you and I can be like, "Oh, John, that's so cool that you have your dog there. How cute."
Right.
Or we had a lady one time during a break, she had pulled out a hula hoop and we saw it and I'm like, "Oh god, I have to comment on that when we come back from break." And I did. I wouldn't have known that she did that had I just
Yeah.
been able to see.
Brings out the personality and when you relate to people in that way, right? It now they start to engage. Now you are starting to build that relationship and that is where you can start to work on that aspect
Mhm.
of the trilogy of bullet points here. So let's go into that tell me a little bit more. Give us some insights on if I'm trying to get people to like me, to like my business, like what I'm all about, how can I do that effectively?
There's two sides to it. There's liking the business and then there's liking you.
Hmm.
So if and they're equal. They're not, one doesn't outweigh the other. You have to have both. Liking your business, that's really simple. That's your content's going to handle that. They're either going to like your content or they're not going to like your content. Unfortunately, it's pretty cut and dry. But liking you, you have a little bit more control of. Engaging with them. You know, commenting on something. I'm a dog person. If you bring a dog out and I see it, I am probably going to comment on it. You
Yeah.
know, I'm going to engage with you in some way, shape, or form that shows the human side of me. I'm not just all content, 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 content. That
Right.
squirrel moment goes a long way sometimes, where I can just be like, "Oh my god, cute dog," you
Hmm.
know, or I can see that Joanne's getting it, and she looks like she has this amazing thought. Can we unmute Joanne for a second? I want to hear what she has to say real quick. Those
Yeah.
little moments that I can pull because I can see you make a big difference, and that shows the human side of you. You don't want to be scripted all the time. I actually don't script
That's
myself.
right. People don't buy from companies, they buy from people,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
a lot of business has to do with how do I feel about you? Whether I'm buying something for you or whether I'm hiring you, right?
Yeah.
Just that and that personal connection. I also feel, we're sold all the time, all day, right?
Mhm.
Ads everywhere. Last thing I want is another person trying to hawk some crap at me, right? But when you take that personal touch like you're talking about, like, hey, I'm relating to you in an authentic way as well, right? You're not pretending that you're into dogs. You're really into dogs.
I
And
have three
so,
of them. There's one right under my desk. There's two outside my door. I love dogs.
yeah. So I think that's a great insight for our audience that, hey, take a moment to show your personality, right? Have your maybe the personality, the things that you do. Like I love skateboarding. I've skateboarded for a long time. That's part of my personal brand. When I'm doing a
Mhm.
post on LinkedIn or something, sometimes I'll take a skateboarding clip or a photo and I'll add a business insight of what like keep pushing or something like that, or the perseverance it takes to fall down a bunch of times and get back up. It sounds like what you're saying is, don't hide your personality or those personal things about you, but bring them forefront as part of your business to the stage so that people can relate to you and you can relate to them. Would that be accurate?
Yeah, totally accurate.
Absolutely. Well, I want to get into some of the tech because I want our audience to next be able to understand, okay, now that I understand know, like, and trust, what are these next technical aspects that can enable me to be successful? But before we do that, let's hear a quick message from our sponsor.
Business owners and entrepreneurs will place a proven executive assistant VA for just $4 to $8 an hour, and if they don't perform, you don't pay. Imagine freeing up 20 plus hours a week by someone handling your most time consuming tasks like admin work, managing emails, scheduling meetings, and so much more. This one hire could transform your productivity and give you back the time you need to focus on growing your business. At Sphere Rocket VA, we make this possible in as little as 7 days. We'll place a proven executive assistant VA in your business for just $4 to $8 an hour, and your VA will take over day-to-day administrative tasks, help manage your email and calendar, follow up with past clients, giving you back 20 plus hours a week so you can increase your sales and even enjoy more personal time. And here's the best part. If they don't give you back 20 plus hours a week in the first month, you don't pay Sphere Rocket a dime. We've done this for thousands of business owners, and now it's your turn to see the results. Click the link around this video to schedule a demo and discover how this one hire can completely change how you run your business. Remember, if within 45 days the VA doesn't perform, you don't pay.
All right. So before the commercial break, we're talking about all of these incredible, just, I would say, pillars for success for these virtual events. And so we're talking about know, like, and trust. And Justin's diving deep into these to help us really understand those. Next, we're going to the tech here. So you mentioned Zoom meeting
Mhm.
earlier. Tell me, why should your clients be using Zoom meeting for these virtual events?
A couple of reasons. Number one, two-way video. Not a lot of platforms offer it. And even Zoom Webinar doesn't. Zoom Webinar, it's a one-way broadcast. They can see you, you can't see them, and it's two-way communication. I lose half of my communication if I can't see you.
Mm,
So that's number one. Number two, breakout rooms. If you're not utilizing breakout rooms in your events, missed opportunity. You need to be using them because that also increases engagement, which also builds community, which adds to your know, like, and trust.
give us a quick example of how I would use a breakout room in my programming of a virtual event effectively.
Yeah, so I typically tie it to an exercise. So maybe I'm going over a concept. Maybe I'm teaching about your big why. And I want them to really understand the concept, or maybe just hear other people's big whys, and maybe something someone else said will resonate with them. So I'll say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go into a breakout room, and in this breakout room, I want you to share what you just wrote down with each other. Person with the shortest hair is the timekeeper. Person with the longest hair is going to go first. Equal share, equal voice. We'll send you there. We'll bring you back. And blah, 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 blah. I continue on with the spiel.
Yeah.
But we then send them to a breakout room. They just talk. It's anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes of them just being able to communicate with each other. And it can be a multitude of different exercises. I've done it on so many different exercises. I've seen hosts do it, and the hosts that do it will tell you firsthand it does make a difference because they time and time and time again, when we get surveys back at the end, the number one thing we see repeat after time and time again are the breakout rooms were fantastic. I learned so much just from being able to talk to my fellow attendees.
Yeah.
Yeah, breakout rooms, absolute best practice. And if you're not doing them, shame on you.
What else should we know about the technical aspect?
It's okay to don't tech your own show. If you're teching your own event, you're not hosting.
Mm.
There's something if I'm teching, I'm focused on the tech, I'm focused on hosting, I'm focused on the chat, I'm focused on enough just hosting
Yeah.
that if I'm worrying about the tech, I can't focus because now
Delegate. Yeah.
divided. You need a team to support you. When we do our event, the virtual event blueprint, my COO actually runs the tech.
Mm-hmm.
Not on stage. He's actually the one pushing the buttons behind the scenes, and he knows the cues. He knows what's happening when. He knows when I'm going to go to a breakout. He knows all of it. I know he's got it under control. I'm just focused on one thing and one thing only.
Yeah, that's really important. I feel like a lot of folks who are trying to do this, I mean, a big reason you're doing a webinar is you're maybe you don't have the team to do a full event, maybe you don't have the budget to do a physical event, right? And so it's probably not the right term, but you're kind of trying to cut corners a little bit, right? You're trying to make maybe your dollar work a little further for you than a physical event. And so I would think that people might be prone to like, okay, now, taking on the tech aspect of things, but understanding that like, okay, it is worth hiring a company. I would recommend Spark Event Studios, of course, just
Yeah,
personally. Uh, but focus on
a
the
little
tech.
biased.
And yeah, and if you just focus on what you do best,
Mm-hmm.
you are going to make more sales. You're going to get more, whatever you're selling, whatever you're trying to get people to spend money with you doing, you're going to be more effective doing that. You're going to be glad that you made that investment, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, definitely. I always say to people all the time, and when clients always say to me, well, I can tech my own show. Okay, would you hire someone to run the AV, or would you run the AV of your in-person event?
Right.
Would you be the one dragging the pipe and drape across the back of the stage to set up the stage? If the answer is no, you're correct. So why are you teching your own show? You wouldn't do it in person.
Once again, going back to those foundational pillars that have been true forever, right? And so because we have the ability to do some new stuff with technology,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, I can do this. Doesn't mean you should, even
Exactly.
if technology makes
Just
it a little
because you
easier.
can doesn't mean you should.
That's good advice for a lot of things in life and business.
Yeah.
Um, Tell me this, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see folks make when they're putting on a virtual event? Maybe it's the first one is doing a webinar instead of a virtual event. But what are some of those common mistakes that you see that your clients can easily avoid by working with you?
They try to do everything. They want to do every bell and whistle of an event. They want all the bells and whistles. That's great that you want to get to there, but you're
Yeah.
not going to start there. Start with where you are. I actually was just talking to a client and he's like, well, we could rent out the studio space and we could have all these professional cameras. And I'm like, you don't need that right now. You can start just right there. Your set looks really nice. You've got a good camera. Start with what you got.
That's a
You don't,
great point, actually. Yeah.
yeah.
Don't overproduce it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially in today's world, there's a lot of, I mean, currently a lot of less polished content
Mm-hmm.
comes across more organically, more authentically, right? And so this super overproduced thing, you're, wasting a bunch of money that you could put to somebody to tech your show for you rather than, having a crazy camera setup.
Yeah. I mean, I do events for a lot of different people. And I have done the big fancy studios and I've done just the simple home setups.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, I can afford to do the big fancy studio and I don't. You know why? I don't need it. I just don't. It's not worth the money to me.
Yeah. I used to work at a design studio and, just with a bunch of brilliant designers. And a lesson I learned that is relevant to this, and I always go back to, is, our leader used to always tell the other artists, the your greatest work, like the most impressive visual design you can do, is not always the right solution,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes simple, I mean, budget definitely determines some of that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
even if somebody has a great budget and has the ability to put on something, it doesn't mean that the biggest and the greatest and most visually impressive is the right thing. Sometimes it's very simple, and that's going to be most effective for you.
Yep. KISS.
Yep. What are some other common mistakes that some folks make?
Not using breakout rooms. Not using the engagement strategies that would actually help them. They think in their head, they think it's going to hinder them, but it's the exact opposite, and they're hindering themselves by not doing them.
Interesting. Can you give me an example of that?
I mean,
What's one that you would recommend that you see people avoiding
let's
because
talk
they don't
breakout
want to?
rooms.
Yeah.
I can tell you firsthand, your engagement is going to be lower because here's the thing: if you don't do a breakout room, okay, now they're just sitting there, and now you're just teaching to them. There's no application of the skill, or
Right.
you know, I I don't know about you, but it's also a nice little. It's not a break, but it's a mental break from having to listen. Now they're getting to interact with each other. There's so many benefits to those breakout rooms
Mm.
beyond just them doing an exercise.
Even the networking, right?
Exactly. Networking
I
happens a lot in them, and we encourage it.
I'll tell you, when COVID kicked off and we're all doing all this virtual networking, right? There's a group
Mm-hmm.
I'm part of in Dallas called Dallas Influencers in Sports Entertainment. I'm actually coincidentally wearing their shirt today. But they were doing all these physical networking events before COVID, and then COVID hits, and so like, what are we gonna do? And they must have used Zoom meeting because we did have breakout rooms, and I showed up to this. I was working for a production company at the time, and in that group, I made a great connection that led to, it didn't end up being a deal, but led me down the path to, accomplish the KPIs that I had in this role. And it was
Mm-hmm.
nothing that I thought I was going to accomplish in that meeting, and it wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for that breakout room. And sometimes your value is bringing other people together around you,
Yeah,
right? Like, hey, I like when you go to these, you meet great people. And then when you become a valuable person as a connector, more people are going to be around for you to then have your opportunity to do your pitch or whatever you're doing. And then great people attract great people, right? So
exactly.
I can speak from experience that, yeah, those breakout rooms and that networking is absolutely a positive.
Yeah, I met my business partner through a virtual event in a breakout room. So
Oh, how about
like
that?
we we encourage breakout rooms and we encourage the networking. I actually cringe when I go to events and I hear the host say, "Please don't network in them." What?
Yeah, I don't want you to experience the benefit
I don't
of
want you
this
to
tactic.
experience the benefits of a breakout room
Yeah.
in a breakout room. Just seems counterintuitive. And another thing that a lot of people don't think of is so many platforms put the attendee experience first.
Okay.
We don't. We always start with the host.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we have our own production software. It's called Obvio. You can't look it up. It doesn't have a public-facing URL. Uh, but with that being said, we can do things that are a lot easier for the host. I can see every click you make. It talks with my CRM. It's doing all of this data and analytics in the background. The attendees
Wow.
are completely unaware of this happening. And it also is the bridge to get them into Zoom. I
Right.
don't send out a Zoom link to join the event. I hate the Zoom link. It looks stupid. It's always the same. It's zoom.us/j/blah, blah, 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 blah.
Uh-huh.
Our event links are the virtual event blueprint.obv.io.
Yep. Feels personalized, feels branded, feels
Brand, and
unique.
then when they go there, it's also branded. It's got our event logo. It's got our brand colors. It's branded to us. There's no powered by Obvio or anything like that on there. It's
It's a
custom
great point.
to that event, and it's a central hub for the event.
There's so much in business about, perception being reality. And when you appear to be successful, right? And I'm not talking fake it till you make it, but what I'm talking about is like there are certain things that like you're taken seriously when you show up in a certain way, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of it's subconscious as well. You get the Zoom link, it's like, oh yeah, well, I have access to those Zoom links, or every terrible call I don't want to take is, oh, there's another Zoom link. Like maybe subconscious you're not even thinking it, but then you get this like, oh, this is real. This person had, the way that the host is showing up and that company is showing up in that virtual event is really setting the table that like we're successful, we're professional, your dollars,
Mm.
can be trusted with us. We're going to help you accomplish whatever the thing is that is being sold or taught or instructed. So I think
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So, and you said Obvio, right? So tell me a little bit more about that. So you're telling me there's data analytics,
Mhm.
there's you're connecting to your CRM, and so what goes to my mind is that's saving a lot of time
Yeah, it creates
and more
one source
effective
of truth.
follow-up, right?
So the platform natively connects to 8 different CRMs.
Wow.
So Keep, ActiveCampaign, MailChimp, Spot, High Level, ClickFunnels, Ontraport, and I'm missing someone. Am I missing? I always do this. I always forget one. Kit, ConvertKit.
We did.
Uh,
Nice.
Yep. And then if all else fails, if you don't have one of those 8,
Uh-huh.
we also have Zapier. We have a native
Perfect.
app inside of Zapier. So the reality is we're kind of unlimited in who we can connect with. So what that does for us is it creates this one source of truth. If I want to update something for this attendee, I just go to the CRM and update it in the CRM. The
Mm.
client doesn't ever have to touch the software.
Yeah.
It's real-time API connection. We just update the event. When you tag someone in your CRM, guess what? Those tags all come over into the production side, and we can now utilize those tags to customize the dashboard for that specific attendee. Because
Perfect.
the dashboard,
Yeah.
you are actually logged into it. So when you join the event, it's going to say, welcome, John. It knows that you're a client already that's
Mm-hmm.
attending the event. You're going to have different buttons on your dashboard than I might have, who is not a client yet and is just a general admission ticket. I'm not going to
Yeah.
see the same buttons. I'm not going to have the same access, or even difference between VIP, non-VIP. All of that is just tags in our CRM, and that controls
That's
the experience.
incredibly valuable. That's amazing. So that leads me to my next question is, okay, so let's say I've gone through all these steps, right?
Mhm.
I have interacted with my audience. I'm active on social media. So people know me, right?
Mhm.
I'm interacting with folks. I'm a great kind person. I've got a wonderful personality. People like me.
Mm-hmm.
My mission is fantastic. Some people can get behind. They like my company as well. And I've, done this for a long period of time. And so there's trust that I've developed, right? And then, so I'm hosting this virtual event. I'm working with Spark Event Studios. So we've got this, incredible back end analytics and CRM. However, I don't do anything post event.
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity.
Missed opportunity. Huge missed opportunity.
So help us understand what should be done after a virtual event.
Follow up. Follow up. Follow up. Follow up. One of the things our platform does really well is because we're connected to the CRM, we can tag based on click. So I have a call to action button. How many people clicked that button but didn't actually go through the process? Guess what? That's now a list I can give to my sales team and be like, hey, these people expressed interest.
Right.
And, they at least took enough interest to click the button.
That's right.
Call them. Because we have all those phone numbers because we collected them at registration.
Yep.
We also do things like we have a webinar concierge. It's AI, but that webinar concierge can call someone when they drop off the webinar and be like, hey, John, I noticed you dropped off. Is everything okay? Or do you need me to resend you the link?
Oh, that's incredibly valuable. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It takes
How many people are you losing there's a tech issue or something, like all of a sudden now you have an excuse to not
And
hop
what we
back
have
in.
found out is most tech issues can be resolved within 3 minutes. That's why we do wait 3 minutes before we do that. After 3 minutes, we question. And that's when the AI is going to call you and be like, hey, what's going on?
Right. Really cool. Okay. Follow up. What are some give me a couple more effective tactics, whether it's specifically how to follow up or any other tactics post virtual event that really help improve the success of the event?
Post event, it really comes down to follow up. That's probably going to be your biggest thing. And I say it to clients all the time, if you don't follow up, you're going to lose out on opportunities. Making sure sales is checking in with people. My sales team, when we do our event, the virtual event blueprint, I say, like, look, call them until they either answer until or until they disconnect to their phone number.
Right.
Go until you can't go anymore.
Well, when you also what pops in my head is like it's always helpful when you have an excuse to reach out to somebody, right? There's a big difference between a warm call and a cold call, right? Cold call. How'd you get this number? Why are you calling me? This is not relevant anyway. Warm call. Hey, Justin, I just wanted to thank you so much for joining our virtual event, and then, maybe you learned something about it, right? Like, hey, how's that poodle doing? Blah, 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 blah. By the way, I just want to let you know that we have a special offer right now, blah, 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 blah. And because of your interest in clicking XYZ button, I thought this might be something that could really help for you.
Bingo.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, anything else before I let you go? I have learned so much about these events today. I mean, you are just unloading knowledge. I think, if you are listening or watching this episode, get the notepads out, hit rewind, grab that notepad, because there are just so many things. You dove into know, like, and trust. You gave us a lot of specifics beyond that. You helped us understand the technology that we need to be using to have a successful event. And of course, not to make that event a waste, because we need to be following up. And that's the cardinal sin, is no follow-up. So give me one more thing that you can share with us before I let you go today.
Well, I feel like the next best thing is, why not experience it yourself? Register for an event. Go experience it, especially a 3-day event. If you learned nothing else, single-day events are, I call them advanced level moves. And only the grand poobah master Jedis should be doing single day events.
Got it.
I'm not even that.
That's really interesting because my kind of common sense or lack thereof would be like, wait a minute, this is my first one. I'm going to do a short one, right? Let me dip my toe, let me get used to it. I'm not ready for a 3-day event. I'll just do like an hour or something. Tell me why I'm wrong.
So here's why. You just cut off your know, like, and trust. It's harder to build that engagement.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do time. I can't stress it enough. The more time you spend with someone, the more they're likely to move forward. You have now just got 3 8-hour days down to an hour. Guess what? Newsflash, it's not going to work.
Don't try to take that shortcut.
It's a very big shortcut, and it's tempting. I know it's tempting. Don't fall for it.
Right. And then you're not going to put enough time. And so as a result, you're not going to have success or the level of success that you would if you were putting in the necessary time. And then you're going to think, oh, virtual events don't work. I tried it. It didn't work. Yeah, you didn't put enough
I
time.
fight this fight all the time with potential clients, and they're like, oh, we've tried them before and they didn't work. And the first question I always ask after that is,
how long was it?
How long did you do?
Yeah.
And if they say, oh, it was just like an hour, there's the problem.
Time.
Yeah.
Well, so those listening, a couple things that I'm taking away from this. Know, like, and trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do your work. Even if you don't maybe have a virtual event on the calendar, put that on your radar and start engaging with that audience so that when you get to that point of the virtual event, you've done that work. People know you, right? Be a kind person. Be an open-handed person. Be somebody that people are going to like, right? Take interest in others beyond yourself. And then trust, time. Just understand. Don't try to take a shortcut. Understand that trust is so important, but it takes time to get trust. And after your event, follow up, follow up, follow up. But most importantly, if you're going to do all this effectively, you need to call my man Justin and hire Spark Event Studios. Justin, last question for you. How can people get a hold of you in the ways that you'd like them to?
Yeah, so 2 ways you can do that. You can book a one-on-one sales call if you'd like. That is at hostmynextevent.com. Or between you and me, we just talked about how virtual event does a lot better, and it's better for you to learn about what we do. Why not come experience it yourself? Come to the virtual event blueprint. Registration coming soon.
Perfect. Alrighty. Well, thank you so much, Justin. I learned a lot. I know the audience learned a lot. Thank you for joining me today on the Leverage Podcast.